The incident. Admiral Brightscale's scales rippled with anxiety as he reviewed the latest incident report. The holoscreen before him displayed what could only be described as organized chaos, if chaos could ever be organized. His deputy, Lieutenant Commander Vzax, stood nearby, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated severe distress. "Tell me again," Brightscale said, "how exactly did a human maintenance technician turn our most secure quantum communications array into what they're calling the galaxy's biggest disco ball?" The footage played again, showing Sarah Rodriguez, Maintenance Tech Level 3, approaching the array with what the incident report classified as the expression. Every senior official in the Galactic Alliance knew that expression, the slight tilt of the head, the raised eyebrow, and most terrifyingly, the small smile that preceded nearly every major human-induced incident. According to the logs, Vzax reported, their crystalline voice chiming with poorly concealed dismay, Technician Rodriguez was performing routine maintenance when she noticed what she termed unnecessary redundancy in the quantum stabilization matrix. The security footage captures her exact words, "You know what would make this more fun?" The room's temperature dropped several degrees as various alien species present exhibited their species-specific stress responses. The methane counselor started bubbling more rapidly, while the silicon representative began running emergency debugging protocols. The recording continued, showing Rodriguez's modifications spreading through the system like a cascade of dominoes. What started as a simple, efficiency improvement somehow resulted in the quantum array not only maintaining its essential functions but also transforming every secure transmission into what humans called a light show, complete with synchronized patterns and something called sick beats. The most concerning aspect, Vzax continued, their crystalline edges darkening with worry, is that system efficiency has actually improved by 43%. We can't even classify it as a malfunction because technically, it works better now. Admiral Brightscale's scales shifted to a deep indigo of contemplation. This wasn't the first such incident, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. Ever since humans had joined the Galactic Alliance, their unique approach to problem-solving had been both a blessing and a source of constant anxiety for the Alliance's administrators. "What about the new protocols?" he asked, referring to the recently implemented Human Activity Monitoring and Prevention System, HAMPS. Weren't they supposed to prevent exactly this type of creative modification? Vzax's crystalline form clouded slightly, the equivalent of an embarrassed cough. "We had 17 different security measures in place, Admiral." Technician Rodriguez apparently saw them as, and I quote, "part of the fun challenge." She integrated them into her modifications. The security barriers now provide what she calls awesome visual effects. The footage shifted to show the aftermath. The Quantum Communications Array, part of the Alliance's secure communications network, now pulsed with rhythmic patterns of light while maintaining transmission efficiency. Several other human crew members had gathered around it, some dancing, others taking notes, and most disturbingly, all of them wearing expressions that suggested they were already thinking of improvements of their own. "There's more," Vzax added, their crystal structure vibrating with tension. "We've detected similar modification patterns spreading to other stations." It seems Technician Rodriguez shared her upgrades through something called a DIY tutorial video. The humans are calling it the Quantum Disco Revolution. Admiral Brightscale's scales cycled through several colors before settling on a resigned gray. "Convene the emergency council," he ordered. "And someone get me the Human Relations Department. We need to understand why their species views every safety protocol as a personal challenge." As his officials scrambled to comply, Brightscale reviewed the growing list of improved systems across the Alliance. Each modification bore the distinct signature of human creativity, functioning better than ever before while simultaneously giving safety officers across the galaxy anxiety attacks. The incident had triggered something larger, something that would force the Alliance to reconsider its entire approach to human integration. As Brightscale prepared for the emergency council meeting, he couldn't help but notice that the quantum array's new light patterns were, indeed, surprisingly pleasant to watch. In the following days, the ripple effects of Rodriguez's modifications would reach far beyond the communication systems. The Alliance was about to learn a fundamental truth about humans: their capacity for turning serious situations into what they called entertainment was matched only by their ability to make their entertaining solutions work better than the original systems. The first emergency council session was scheduled for the following day. As Brightscale reviewed his presentation materials, he noticed something troubling in the corner of his office. His own communication terminal was beginning to pulse gently in rhythm with distant music. The quantum disco revolution, it seemed, was just getting started. The response. The emergency council chamber hummed with nervous energy as representatives from across the galaxy gathered to address what was now being called the Rodriguez situation. The normally austere room had been affected by the spreading modifications. The formal holographic displays now sparkled with unauthorized improvements, causing several council members to wear protective eyewear. Dr. Xylith, head of the newly formed Human Behavior Analysis Division, took the floor. Their plant-based forms swayed anxiously as they projected their findings onto the central display. Our initial response to Technician Rodriguez's modifications has complicated matters, they began, leaf structures rustling. Our attempt to implement stricter protocols has had an unexpected effect on the human population of our stations. The display showed a graph that looked suspiciously like a smiling face. Dr. Xylith quickly adjusted it, muttering something about contaminated data visualization protocols. The humans have interpreted our emergency responses as what they call a challenge accepted scenario, they continued. Every new security measure we've implemented has been seen as, quote, motivation to get creative. Admiral Brightscale's scales shifted to a worried purple as he reviewed the latest reports. In the week since Rodriguez's initial modifications, the situation had evolved beyond anyone's expectations. The footage showed various stations across the Alliance where humans had taken the new protocols as inspiration. On Station Delta 9, engineer Marcus Chen had looked at the new quantum encryption barriers and decided they would make, in his words, awesome surfing waves. He had somehow modified the security fields to create what humans were calling quantum surfing, a new sport that was rapidly gaining popularity among both humans and, more worryingly, several younger alien species. The most concerning development, Dr. Xylith continued, comes from the Silicon Peaks Research Station. The display shifted to show Dr. Lisa Wong, theoretical physicist and apparent amateur DJ, who had taken the concept of quantum harmonics to an entirely new level. Dr. Wong discovered that the frequency patterns of our security protocols could be, as she put it, remixed to create what she calls scientifically accurate dance music. The resulting frequencies have not only improved our quantum stability but have also caused several silicon-based life forms to start, and I quote, getting down with their crystalline selves. The silicon representative vibrated in what might have been embarrassment. But the real crisis, Brightscale interjected, his scales now a complex pattern of worry, is what's happening on Proxima Station. The display shifted again, showing what had once been the Alliance's most secure research facility. Chief Engineer James O'Connor had taken one look at the new security protocols and had what humans called an epic idea. Within days, he had transformed the station's defensive systems into what he termed the galaxy's most secure party venue. The security scanners now doubled as light shows, the containment fields had become interactive dance floors, and the quantum barriers generated what humans called sick beats while maintaining their protective functions. The most frustrating part, Zax reported, their crystalline form showing traces of reluctant admiration, is that every single one of these modifications has resulted in improved system performance. We can't officially classify them as violations because technically, everything works better than before. Dr. Xylith brought up their proposed solution, a new set of protocols specifically designed to channel human creativity in more predictable directions. We call it the Creative Containment Initiative, they explained. Instead of trying to prevent human modifications, we provide pre-approved areas for what they call fun improvements. The chamber erupted in discussions, various species expressing their concerns through their respective biological responses. The methane counselor was practically a geyser of worried bubbles. And what, asked Representative ZYX of the Hive Collective, prevents the humans from seeing these designated areas as merely the beginning of their playground? Before Dr. Xylith could respond, an alert flashed across the central display. The Creative Containment Initiative document had somehow found its way into human communication channels. The feedback was already pouring in. Cool. Built-in suggestion boxes. Challenge accepted. Anyone else thinking what I'm thinking? Party Planning Committee, assemble. Admiral Brightscale's scales shifted to a previously unseen shade of resignation. How long? He asked. Based on current human creativity metrics, Dr. Xylith replied, their leaves drooping slightly, we have approximately 48 hours before they turn our containment initiative into what they'll probably call, the biggest improvement party in the galaxy. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Alliance had faced many challenges in its long history, wars, natural disasters, cosmic anomalies, but nothing had prepared them for the unstoppable force of human enthusiasm combined with creative problem-solving. In the background, the quantum communications array continued its rhythmic pulsing, its efficiency now at 147% of original specifications. Several junior council members had started tapping their appendages in time with the beat. The response to the Rodriguez situation was rapidly becoming its own situation, and somewhere on a station in the Alliance network, another human was looking at a serious piece of equipment and thinking those dangerous words, you know what would make this more fun? The escalation. The Galactic Alliance's Central Command Hub had never seen such activity. 3 weeks after the initial Rodriguez incident, what had started as a single creative modification had evolved into what humans were calling the Great Improvement Movement. Admiral Brightscale stood at his observation window, his scales cycling through colors faster than a quantum computer as he watched the latest developments unfold. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Zax reported, their crystalline form practically vibrating with anxiety, we have updates from 17 different sectors. You might want to sit down for this. The first report came from the Arcturus Research Station. Dr. Emma Chen, inspired by the success of the quantum disco communications, had decided that the station's antimatter containment systems were too boring. She had somehow modified the containment fields to create what she called the universe's first antimatter light sculpture garden. The protective fields now formed intricate, ever-changing patterns while maintaining perfect containment stability. Efficiency has improved by 89%, Zax noted, their voice carrying a tone of bewildered admiration. And the sculptures are, admittedly quite beautiful. But that was just the beginning. The footage shifted to the Orion Defense Platform, where Security Chief Marcus Jackson had taken one look at the standard battle simulation programs and declared them in need of some pizzazz. He had transformed the entire training system into what humans called an epic space laser tag arena. Combat readiness scores had improved by 200%. The most concerning development, Zax continued, comes from Deep Space Station Beta. The display showed Dr. Sarah O'Neill, theoretical physicist and self-proclaimed party science enthusiast, who had made what she called a tiny adjustment to the station's gravity control systems. She's turned the entire station into what humans call a bounce house, Dr. Xylith reported, their leaves trembling. But here's the truly alarming part, she's somehow improved gravitational stability by 300%. 3 different physics departments are still trying to understand how. The improvements were spreading faster than anyone could track. On Station Gamma 6, engineer Tom Rodriguez, no relation to Sarah Rodriguez, though he claimed to be a huge fan of her work, had modified the waste recycling system into what he called the galaxy's most efficient water park. Water purification efficiency had reached unprecedented levels. But the real situation, Brightscale said, his scales settling into a pattern that suggested impending doom, is what's happening in the diplomatic corps. The footage showed Ambassador Lisa Chen at the latest Interstellar Peace Conference. She had taken one look at the formal negotiation protocols and decided they needed a fun upgrade. The resulting dance-dance diplomacy system had somehow resolved 3 centuries-old conflicts in under a week. The Hive Collective is now organizing what they call rave negotiations, Zaks reported. And the Silicon Confederation has requested what they term DJ mediators for all future diplomatic encounters. Dr. Xylatha's latest analysis appeared on the main screen, showing the exponential spread of human-inspired modifications across Alliance space. We've identified a pattern, they explained. Each successful improvement inspires at least 3 more humans to look at other systems and think those dangerous words, you know what would make this better. The situation had grown beyond any conventional response. The Alliance's most sophisticated prediction algorithms couldn't keep up with human creativity. Every attempt to channel or contain their improvements only seemed to inspire more innovative solutions. There's more, Zaks added, their crystalline form clouding with concern. We've detected unusual activity in the Quantum Research Division. Dr. James Martinez was heard saying something about making the quantum uncertainty principle more entertaining. The room fell silent. The idea of humans applying their unique approach to fundamental physics was simultaneously terrifying and fascinating. How long do we have? Brightscale asked, his scales now showing a complex pattern that translated roughly to resigned curiosity. Based on current trends, Dr. Xylath replied, we estimate approximately 72 hours before the entire Alliance infrastructure is improved. They projected a simulation showing the spread of human modifications across known space, the pattern resembling what humans called a disco ball. But sir, Zaks added, their crystal structure reflecting an unexpected hint of excitement, you should see the efficiency ratings. Every single modified system is performing beyond theoretical maximums. The humans are breaking the laws of physics, but they're doing it with style. Admiral Brightscale watched as another section of the display lit up with notifications of new improvements. The situation was approaching a critical point, but no one could deny that the Alliance had never run more efficiently, even if it did now come with background music and light shows. In the distance, the sound of what humans called space dubstep echoed through the quantum communications network, accompanied by the cheers of various species discovering what Rodriguez had termed the joy of quantum dancing. The Great Improvement movement was about to enter its next phase, and somewhere in Alliance space, another human was looking at a crucial system and thinking, you know what this needs? Glitter. The crisis point. The emergency council chamber had been transformed. What was once a austere meeting space now featured pulsing quantum light displays, anti-gravity seating arrangements, and something humans called a chill zone in the corner. Admiral Brightscale's scales had settled into a pattern that his staff now recognized as acceptance with a side of existential worry. The situation has reached a critical point, Dr. Xylath announced, their leaf structures now decorated with tiny LED lights, gift from the Human Relations Department. The improvements have achieved quantum coherence. The central display showed a map of Alliance space that looked more like an interconnected dance club network than a serious governmental organization. Systems that had been improved by humans were now synchronizing with each other, creating what Dr. Lisa Wong had enthusiastically termed the greatest crossover episode ever. It started in the Centauri sector, Zaks reported, their crystalline form reflecting the rhythmic pulses of the quantum network. Dr. Miguel Rodriguez, quantum physicist and self-proclaimed improvement artist, decided that having separate improved systems was, quote, not awesome enough. The footage showed Dr. Rodriguez, wearing what appeared to be a lab coat covered in LED patterns, as he implemented what he called the Great Synchronization. He had somehow managed to link the quantum disco communications array with the antimatter light sculpture garden, the space laser tag defense systems, and the gravitational bounce house stations. The resulting quantum harmony, Dr. Xylath explained, trying to maintain scientific detachment despite the infectious beat now pulsing through the chamber, has created a network effect we never thought possible. The systems aren't just communicating, they're jamming together. Reports were flooding in from across Alliance space. The dance-dance diplomacy system had synchronized with the quantum surfing waves, creating what humans called radical peace negotiations. 3 more species had joined the alliance purely because they wanted to be part of what they termed the most epic governance party in the galaxy. But the real crisis, Admiral Brightscale said, his scales now showing a pattern that indicated both deep concern and reluctant admiration, is what's happening at the quantum level. The display shifted to show Dr. Sarah Chen's latest project at the Quantum Physics Research Station. She had looked at the fundamental forces of the universe and decided they needed more pizzazz. Her modifications to the quantum observation equipment had led to what she called the ultimate physics rave. She's somehow made quantum entanglement visible, Zax reported, their voice carrying a mix of horror and awe. And choreographed it. Particle physicists across the galaxy are reporting that quantum phenomena are now, and I quote, dropping sick beats. The implications were staggering. The boundaries between serious scientific research and what humans called the ultimate party were breaking down. The Alliance's most sophisticated systems had been transformed into a vast, interconnected network of improvements that defied conventional understanding. We've detected a new development, Dr. Xylith announced, their leaves trembling with excitement despite their attempts to remain professional. The synchronized improvements are achieving something unprecedented. The quantum network is evolving. The display showed energy patterns that pulsed and flowed across Alliance space, connecting modified systems in ways that shouldn't have been possible. The humans had accidentally created a new form of quantum coherence that was simultaneously more efficient and more entertaining than anything in the Alliance's history. Dr. Rodriguez's team is calling it quantum groove theory, Zax reported. Apparently, the universe itself is starting to, as they put it, get down with the improvements. The council chamber erupted in a mixture of concerned discussions and unconscious toe-tapping, or equivalent appendage movements for various species. The situation had evolved beyond anyone's predictions, reaching a point where the line between serious infrastructure and entertainment had not just blurred but had started throwing its own party. There's more, Dr. Xylith added, their voice carrying a note of wonder. We're detecting similar patterns emerging spontaneously in unexplored sectors. It's as if the improvements are inspiring the universe itself to get more creative. Admiral Brightscale watched as another section of the galaxy lit up with synchronized improvements. The Alliance had faced many challenges in its history, but never one that made their most serious systems more efficient by making them more entertaining. Sir, Zax said, their crystalline form now subtly pulsing with the quantum beat, what are your orders? Before Brightscale could respond, a new alert flashed across the display. Dr. James Martinez, the quantum physicist who had been experimenting with making the uncertainty principle more entertaining, had achieved what he called a breakthrough in quantum fun dynamics. The crisis point had arrived, but it wasn't the catastrophe everyone had feared. Instead, it was something entirely new, a moment where human creativity and alien technology had combined to create something that was simultaneously more wonderful and more terrifying than anyone had imagined. As the quantum network pulsed with synchronized improvements, Admiral Brightscale's scales shifted to a new pattern, one that represented the dawn of a new era in galactic history. The question was no longer how to stop the improvements, but how to adapt to a universe that had started to embrace the human concept of fun. The new protocol. 6 months after the initial Rodriguez incident, the Galactic Alliance had changed beyond recognition. Admiral Brightscale stood in the newly improved Central Command Hub, his scales displaying a pattern that his staff had started calling enlightened acceptance. The former Emergency Response Center now doubled as what humans called Mission Control Dance Central, and somehow worked better than ever. Final report on the Great Improvement integration, Dr. Xylith announced, their leaf structure now permanently enhanced with bioluminescent patterns. The numbers are unprecedented. The central display, which now featured both serious data analysis and what humans called awesome visualizations, showed the full scope of the transformation. Every system touched by human improvements had not only maintained its essential functions but had evolved into something more efficient and, as the humans insisted, more enjoyable. The quantum network synchronization has reached 99.9% harmony, Zaks reported, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns that match the quantum beat. Dr. Rodriguez's team has successfully integrated what they call the groove into our basic protocols. The footage showed the latest innovations across Alliance space. The antimatter light sculpture garden had merged with the quantum surfing waves to create what humans called the most radical power generation system ever. Energy efficiency had improved by 500%, and 3 previously unknown species had applied for Alliance membership just to participate in what they termed awesome power production. But the real breakthrough, Dr. Xylith continued, came from the Quantum Physics Entertainment Division. The display shifted to show Dr. Sarah Chen's latest project, which had transformed their understanding of the universe itself. By applying human creativity to quantum mechanics, they had discovered that the fundamental forces of the universe responded to what humans called good vibes. The resulting quantum harmony protocols had revolutionized everything from space travel to communication. The dance-dance diplomacy system has now resolved 147 long-standing conflicts, Zaks reported, their voice carrying a tone of amazement. Apparently, it's difficult to maintain hostile intentions while participating in what humans call the galactic groove. Admiral Brightscale reviewed the new Alliance protocols, which now included sections on maintaining the vibe and optimal fun factors in serious operations. What had started as a crisis had evolved into a revolution in how the Alliance approached everything from scientific research to diplomatic relations. The most significant change, Dr. Xylith noted, is in our approach to human creativity. Instead of trying to contain it, we've learned to channel it. The results have been extraordinary. The display showed the new Human Innovation Integration Program, where human improvement specialists worked alongside traditional engineers and scientists. The combination of human creativity and alien expertise had led to breakthroughs that neither group could have achieved alone. We've even started receiving requests from previously isolated species, Zaks added. They've observed our improved systems and want to, as they put it, join the party. The quantum network pulsed with synchronized energy, each beat representing countless improvements working in harmony. The former emergency protocols had been replaced with what humans called flow state guidelines, which somehow managed to be both more effective and more entertaining than their predecessors. There is one small concern, Dr. Xylith mentioned, their leaves rustling with slight worry. We've detected unusual activity in the temporal mechanics department. Apparently, Dr. Lisa Martinez was overheard saying something about making time itself more groovy. For once, Admiral Brightscale's scales didn't shift to a panic pattern. Instead, they displayed a new configuration that represented curiosity and anticipation. The Alliance had learned that human improvements, while unpredictable, consistently led to positive outcomes, even if those outcomes included more glitter than anyone had ever expected in serious scientific endeavors. Let them proceed, Brightscale ordered, surprising his staff. But establish the usual observation protocols. I want to know the moment they achieve what they'll probably call temporal synchronization. The council chamber, now featuring quantum-enhanced acoustics and what humans called mood lighting, had become a symbol of the new Alliance. Species that had once struggled to communicate now collaborated effortlessly, their work enhanced by human-inspired improvements that made everything more efficient by making it more engaging. Final statistical analysis, Zaks reported, their crystalline form glowing with pride. Overall Alliance efficiency has improved by 873%. Diplomatic relations are at an all-time high. Scientific breakthroughs are occurring at unprecedented rates. And they paused, their structure showing what might have been embarrassment. Job satisfaction across all species has improved by 1000%. Admiral Brightscale looked out over the transformed Alliance headquarters. The quantum disco lights pulsed in perfect harmony with the antimatter containment fields. The gravity control systems created patterns that somehow made complex calculations more intuitive. Even the emergency response protocols had been improved to include what humans called awesome alert beats. Send a commendation to Technician Rodriguez, he ordered, his scales shifting to a pattern of official appreciation. Her initial improvement may have violated 17 different protocols, but it led us to something greater than we could have imagined. The new era of the Galactic Alliance had begun. The fusion of human creativity with alien technology had created something unprecedented, a civilization that had learned to be more effective by being more entertaining. The universe itself seemed to respond to this new approach, as if it had been waiting for someone to finally make existence itself more fun. As Admiral Brightscale prepared for the next council session, he noticed his scales unconsciously shifting in rhythm with the quantum beat. Somewhere in Alliance space, another human was looking at another Sirius system and thinking those once dreaded words, "You know what would make this more